of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 016 International Business Management for MBA program. Presenting Block 1 Introduction to International Business. Unit 1 Dynamics of International Business Part 2.
Why do firms go international? There are various methods of entering foreign markets, from the simplest and least costly to one which is complex and risky and requires a great deal of commitment involving foreign direct investment (FDI). The various strategies for entry into foreign markets are explained in Unit 7. The basic question, however, still remains: why do firms want to internationalize their operations? What do they hope to achieve by going international? This section offers some answers by considering the key elements of the internationalization process, which describe the sequence in which a firm evolves from a domestic organization serving a relatively homogeneous home market to becoming an active exporter and then an international corporation serving a large number of diverse multinational and cultural markets. A firm seeking to enter into foreign markets may do so through one or more of the following mechanisms. 1. Exporting. At its most risk-averse phase, a firm decides to enter foreign markets through licensing arrangement with a local party. The firm is willing to accept the risks of servicing foreign markets through exports. This means exposing oneself to the risk of transit, non-payment, currency fluctuations, among others. The firm discovers that to consolidate and expand the gains of export business, it must invest on the creation of a marketing setup in the foreign market. 2. Licensing. When a company is unwilling to take any risks for the sake of international business, it sometimes opts for licensing as the mode of entry. Licensing is, simply put, nothing but entering into a contract to allow another firm to use an intellectual property, such as patent or a trademark. This definition clearly brings out the fact that as an entry mode, this option is not available to all firms. Only those which have saleable technology, know-how, can use the licensing route. The attraction of licensing lies in the fact that it involves no investment and very little upfront expenditures, and if successful, it can generate a fairly high rate of return. Under a licensing agreement, the holder of the knowledge transfers the same to the buyer for his or her use against the payment of a fixed amount, which can either be a one-time lump sum payment or a percentage of sales or a combination of the two. Licensing arrangement suffers from several disadvantages from the standpoint of the licensor. First, the licensor does not have any management control over the licensee and is therefore unable to control either the quality or the price. An unscrupulous or inefficient licensee can therefore cause damage to the long-term development of the market potential. Second, licensing is extremely limited in its scope. The licensor cannot have a share of the returns from the manufacturing and marketing operations of the licensee. Third, the life of the successful licensing arrangements is normally short, as the licensee may develop his or her own manufacturing capability within a reasonable short period. But the most dangerous aspect of the licensing arrangement is that sometimes the licensees, after they internalize the technology and also in some cases improves upon it, turn into competitors of the licensors. 3. Franchising. A similar method of entry is franchising, which is globally very common in the food, soft drinks, and fast food businesses. Franchising is a form of marketing under which the parent company allows the franchises to use its methods, symbols, trademarks, and architecture. The contract will specify the place of operation of the franchisee and the period for which the arrangement will remain valid. Several forms of franchising are in operation. One form is 100% franchisee ownership, The second form envisages a concept of area or master franchisee, who in turn can appoint sub-franchisees. The third is where the franchise is in fact owned by the parent firm itself. This happens essentially at the market testing stage. The principal wants initially to find out the market potential himself or herself before deciding whether large-scale franchising will be profitable. The basic advantage of this entry method is akin to that of licensing. The upfront expenditure is minimal, while the return can be substantial. The disadvantage lies in the fact that, unless strict monitoring is done, franchisees may default on quality and delivery, thus affecting the reputation of the principal. 4. International joint ventures. International joint venture involves creation of a separate legal entity by an association of two or more firms. Normally, one of the partners will be a local firm, though it is not necessarily so. The choice of this entry method is dictated by several important considerations. First, it reduces the cost of entry because the equity will be divided among the partners. The foreign firm can thus make an entry into a market even with a minor participation and still can have substantial management control. Second, having a local partner can reduce the political risks. In an environment which may not be friendly to foreign investors, having a local partner can help in creating a more acceptable public perception. Third, the local partner is expected to have a good grasp of local operating conditions and therefore can be of great help to the foreign firm which is unaware of these details. While these advantages can be substantial, the biggest danger of international joint venture lies in the inappropriate selection of a partner. If the choice is proper, the strengths of the parties will be complementary. But if the choice is wrong, either in terms of operative attributes or management cultures, the joint ventures are bound to break up. Several surveys have shown a considerable divorce rate among the joint venture partners or taking over of the businesses by the dominant partners. The choice of the joint ventures as the entry mode may, however, be dictated by the host country's regulations. Some countries stipulate that foreign firms can set up facilities only in association with local firms. 5. Subsidiaries and acquisitions. Wholly owned subsidiaries have been the preferred entry mode for large enterprises. The advantages of complete ownership are avoidance of conflict of interest, as may happen in the case of joint ventures, and fullest exploitation of the market potential in terms of both manufacturing and marketing. But these advantages are to be evaluated against the large-scale commitment of financial and managerial resources. Some firms which are anxious to keep their competitive edge under the strictest control normally favor this entry mode. The internationalization process is initiated for many different reasons. It is not simply a matter of wishing to go international and achieving success over a short period. The process of internationalization requires the following 5 basic ingredients if the firm has to be successful. A. A well-developed and clearly articulated mission which reflects a serious commitment to international business activities. B. The ability of the firm to identify and adjust rapidly to consumer needs and opportunities in international markets using products which clearly reflect the firm's competitive advantage. C. The ability to understand consumer behavior in different cultures and to evaluate the nature of changes taking place. D. The ability to develop and maintain high-quality products which can withstand competition from the nearest rivals in domestic as well as overseas market. E. A program of serious and effective business research to identify international markets and their requirements. Within the context of these ingredients for success in the internationalization process, it would be useful to consider the dichotomy between a reactive firm and a proactive firm. A reactive firm is a passive firm. It follows rather than leads, responds to opportunities rather than actively seeking them. It avoids risk rather than taking risk. It is content with the status quo rather than actively seeking ways to change it. It is inward rather than forward-looking and is more concerned with the present rather than with the future, which requires planning and investing. In short, a reactive firm is defensive in character and its actions reflect management's response to changes in the firm's external environment and pressures from its competitors. In contrast, a proactive firm is always initiating and creating new products to stay ahead of rivals, always seeking new challenges rather than being content with what has so far been achieved. It is aggressive and is prone to taking risks and invests for the future to take on its rivals. It is often the case that the more proactive the firm, the more likely it is to succeed in international business. The internationalization process demonstrates a proactive firm at its best. In some instances, much of the firm's FDI activity may be a reactive response to competitors' moves, basically, a defensive strategy to discourage entry of new firms into the industry, to increase market concentration, or to undertake mergers and acquisitions in order to deny rivals access to valuable assets. The process starts with the firm having a product which clearly reflects its competitive advantage over its rivals, both in home and international markets, often as a leader in its field. Its competitive advantage may be its superior design capability, the skills of its workforce, the unique talents of its management or marketing team, or simply its ability to do things better or more efficiently than its competitors. In short, to be successful in international markets, the firm must first be successful in its own domestic market. It is this success in its domestic market which often propels the firm to go international. It has been seen from the discussion so far that the firm uses its firm-specific intangible assets to enter foreign markets. Its products and brand name developed over many years need to be fully exploited if the firm is not only to recover its initial research and development costs but also earn sufficient profits to satisfy its shareholders and fund future investment. So, the profit motive is the most compelling proactive motive in case where the domestic market is either too small or too saturated, the firm may have no real alternative but to seek markets to overseas. The key difference between a reactive and a proactive firm is that a proactive firm does not wait until its domestic market is saturated, demand is showing sign of decline, or it is forced to take action before it actively seeks opportunities abroad by undertaking continuous market research and acting upon its findings. The major reasons why firms go international are 1. To look for new markets. International business firms are often characterized as opportunity seekers, that is, seeking to take advantage of any event or development worldwide which is likely to have a positive impact on their marketing and resource acquisition strategies. This particular attribute is especially relevant to reactive firms. One major source of such an impact has been the creation of the European Union or Single European Market, which helped to create one of the world's largest markets by integrating the individual member states' market into one. Consequently, many distinct opportunities have been created for international business firms to undertake market-seeking and production-seeking investments. 2. To expand market for their products or services. As a consequence of the increasing convergence of consumer tastes and preferences and demand patterns in general, firms find it necessary to establish international customer bases in foreign countries to serve the needs of existing as well as potential customers. The firm is thus able to expand its market internationally at a lower cost than by exporting from the home base. A firm with a declining home market may like to enter into foreign markets and extend the life cycle of its product, as the experience of many US, Japanese, and Korean MNCs demonstrates. EU member states offer many location-specific advantages to these firms to enable them to gain access to its single market with over 370 million inhabitants. Firms like Nokia, Siemens, Bayer, Johnson & Johnson, etc. went in search for foreign markets as their domestic markets were shrinking. 3. To circumvent international trade barriers. Governments erect various forms of barrier for foreign firms to enter in their domestic markets. These barriers include some of the most common measures such as tariffs and quotas, as well as rules and regulations to protect specific industries and markets. These measures make imports less attractive and more costly. Therefore, it makes it necessary for the firm to establish export bases or production facilities in host countries in order to avoid these protectionist measures. 4. Factor endowment. Countries are endowed with different natural and acquired resources, which offer international firms yet another set of location specific advantages, ranging from relatively low cost labor, raw materials, and for large scale operations, and suitable climate to specific technical skills and knowledge, which can only be accessed by establishing operations on location. Even if the firm's home country has similar resources, it may still be advantageous for the firm to locate facilities in another country for additional low cost resources such as finance. For example, Japan is known for the quality of its steel. However, the Japanese firms have to look at India for the supply of iron ore, a raw material for making steel. 5. To reap benefits of economies of scale. In cases where the domestic market may be too small for efficient production, the firm may want to expand into world markets to create economies of scale. Entry into overseas markets increase the total sales and therefore justifies larger scale operations in production, marketing, and transport. 6. To follow competition. With an increasing number of firms going international, other firms feel compelled to follow their competitors into markets which may later be denied to them. In oligopolistic industries, it is normal to expect several firms to establish operations in a given country within a short time. The main reason is that any particular change in the internal and external business environment affecting one firm will affect the others at about the same time and, given their interdependence on each other for decision making, will induce a similar response. For example, the liberalization of trade and investment in India produced almost an instant response by the world's most dominant car producers to establish a presence in one of the world's biggest potential markets. An associated motive might be to create synergy, which would result from combining benefits from one location with those of another, especially in cases where the firm is able to combine its own managerial competence with the intimate knowledge and expertise of the local personnel in order to overcome cultural difficulties. 7. To take advantage of government incentives. Governments throughout the world offer a variety of incentives to attract international firms, especially reactive firms. These incentives range from direct financial assistance to defray part of the initial costs of operation to indirect financial schemes such as favorable corporate tax rates. All these incentives help companies to maximize their after-tax profits and thus provide additional funds to invest either in the host country, home country, or in other countries. 8. To protect the domestic market. In essence, this is a defensive approach whereby the firm initiates an offensive into the competitor's home market in order to protect its own domestic market. Such an offense may have the effect of putting pressure on the competitor to reconsider its move or, depending on the strength of the offense, abandon it completely. Summary. International business may be defined as business carried out across national boundaries. The genesis of international business may be traced back to the ancient times when different well-known communities carried on their trading activities in different parts of the world. The MNCs are the central actors in international business. There could be several reasons behind a firm's move to internationalize its business. A firm may want to engage in international business in search of new markets, to widen its present market for goods and services, to overcome the barriers that it perceives would confront if it goes international, to reap the benefits of economy of scale, to take advantage of the opportunities offered by other governments, or to protect its domestic market from foreign competition, etc. International business differs from domestic business in terms of the environment it faces. The actors in international business confront different socio-economic, cultural, and physical environment in different countries. Therefore, they have to make necessary adjustments in their strategies and approaches of managing business to conform to the diverse environments in overseas markets. There are some difficulties that are unique to international business, which arise because of long distance between trading nations, different languages, customs and laws, currency measurements, different controls, regulations, and tax regimes in different countries, and greater risk and uncertainty. Important benefits of international business include higher standard of living of people in different countries, stability in prices, advantages emanating from specialization, increased productivity, wider markets, overall growth of economies, and promotion of international peace. International business has assumed greater importance as it enables in the diffusion of new technologies, stimulates competition, provides impetus to standardization, motivates firms to adapt to international environment, encourages globalization of business, and promotes economic cooperation and integration. International business activities have not only grown but have become much more diverse and complex. As such, they require collective or multilateral efforts at global level by global agencies. One direct result has been the emergence of a new world economic order in which national economies are merging into one global economy, either on an individual basis or, as it has recently been seen, in regional groupings. Globalization is a dynamic process in which world markets and the production of goods and services become integrated and interdependent. For individual governments, the most compelling reason to integrate their economies with other economies is to enable them to take collective measures to maximize the perceived gains and minimize the perceived costs of globalization.
You were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code Mmpc 016 International Business Management. Course Coordinator Professor G. Subayama. Voiceover by Renuka. Edited by Ashok Sharma. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.